we're now going to finish off our expression by applying the stretchiness on here. I'm going to get rid of this little print thing on here. I don't need that anymore. But what I want to do is I want to increase or decrease by this. Now, if I multiply, which is just an asterisk, which is shift and 8, and I put this by 1, if I multiply something by 1, it's going to remain the same. See? Remain the same. But if I do 2 here and hit edit, see how it's twice? If I do 0.05, or 0.5, sorry, that's going to be 50%. See, it's half. And I go back to 1, we still got it back at its resting position. Okay, so I can do that with all of these. Now, you're probably thinking really quick, okay, I don't want to have to actually change each one of these together. I wish there was a way of actually manipulating all these 1 values with a central area. And we can. We can use something called a variable. You use variables every day of your life. When I say I want to go home, that's a variable. It's actually, the word home is a simpler way of saying your address. Just like when we say, let's go meet at school, you know, different people, that could be a different school on it. But it's, you have certain commonalities, or you have a value that's very simple that you can access to. So if I say $, which is the beginning of making a variable in expressions, and I type in stretch, like that, and I assign, I put the equals 1 semicolon into it, what I'm doing is saying that every time I say stretch, it means 1. So I say edit, didn't do anything yet. So I'm going to take this word stretch, hit Command C, and I'll replace the 1s on here, like that. Now I've hit edit, nothing's going to happen. But if I say 0.5 here, and hit edit, see it shrunk to half. If I say 2, it's double. So I'm going to put this back to 1. However, I still don't want, as an animator, to have to manipulate code to stretch my system. So there's got to be a way I can actually manipulate this from something a little more automatic for my control systems, pretty much. And we can do that. We can actually have our stretching stuff derived in by the length of the curve. Now remember, there's that spline IK curve sitting down the middle. And when I move these curves and controls around, that curve gets bigger and smaller onto it. You can see how the curve is getting longer, but the joints aren't, because the joints are fixed size. So I'd love if these joints would just kind of increase their size on translate X to match the increased size of the curve. Now, this is what's called an arc length of a curve. Now, there's no way I'm going to tell you, hey, let's calculate the arc length of the curve. There's actually a tool built into Maya that does this for us. So if I go in and I select on my, my curve, okay? And I'm going to go down to my mel area down here. And what I want to type in is arc, A-R-C, L-E-N, all one word, arc length. Now, it's not a capital L, it's a lowercase l. And then I'm going to say dash, or hyphen, ch space 1. And I'm going to semicolon. This, with that curve selected, let me get rid of my move tool off of there. With my curve selected, we'll create a info node, a curve info node, that gives me all different variant information on that curve. It's CVs, it's edit points, but more importantly, the length of the curve at a given point. So I'm going to actually hit enter down here. And you notice at the bottom of the outputs on that curve, it says curve info 1. Well, I want to modify that. So I go to my attribute editor, and I'm going to go all the way over to the left side. I'm just going to click on this arrow. And there it is, curve info 1. And you can see our arc length right now is 18.74. And if I grab one of these controls and move it, of course it hides off it. Well, we'll see it when we get back. I'm actually, since it did do that, I'm going to go back into my curve. And I'm going to copy this tab over. I'm going to go all the way back over to the left-hand side, like that. And I'm going to copy tab. So it gives me a nice copy of that. Okay, so now I grab my curve, hit W, and I move it, and you can see how the curve, the arc length, is getting bigger and smaller. Okay, so I'm going to change the name of this. I don't like the name curve info 1, so I'm going to call this CT underscore tongue underscore info, like that. Makes it a little easier to tag on to. Okay, so this is the curves point of rest. Just like we were giving the point of rest of our joints, this is our resting point for our curve. So if I type in 18.4472, that is the resting point. Now I do not want to hit enter at this point, because then I would actually multiply the stretch by 18 times, and I don't want to do that. But if I actually divided this, if I hit a /, which is the divide symbol, and I said 18.472, that would mean, whoops, I keep on doing that. That would be 1, because if we divide 18 by 18, that would be 1. If this value gets bigger, let's say it gets to be like, I don't know, it goes over to like 40, like that, then it's going to, this is bigger, and it's going to increase the size of it. So if this number gets bigger, then that means the curve is getting longer and it's going to stretch more. If it gets less, then the curve is getting smaller. It's going to recess everything. So what I want to do is I want to take a value for this that's going to change for the length of our curve. Well, we have that. It's our arc length again. So if I take my center tongue info and paste it down there like that, and I type in dot, and I want to say arc length. Now the trick here is I was saying arc length or ARCLEN. That's the command. And this one's ARC, and it's capital LENGTH, like that, arc length. So that's the actual proper command for it. I'm going to close this down because I don't need to see this anymore. I'm going to say edit. It looks like nothing's happened, but watch this. When I grab my control over here, it's staying to that curve. Even if I grab this guy and move it away, see, it's still stretching. Cool. So that's our stretchy system that's going to be on there. This one should be working. I should be able to bring back my head geo like that. I should be able to open my jaw. I can rotate up my jaw a little bit. Now it's a little challenge to get through, and there's other systems that we can do to keep our tongue that will actually wrap around our teeth or mouth and things like that. But like I said, this is a beginning stretch system, and I wanted to show you, how you could actually manipulate it and move it around. So there's our expression for our tongue.